Hi, my name is Chris and I'm a content creator here at Katana. If you've come across this video because you're looking for a modern manufacturing ERP solution for your business, then you're definitely in the right place. By the time you've completed this video, my end goal is that you have a solid understanding of what Katana's capabilities are and if it's a good fit for your needs. On our agenda, we're going to cover these 5 topics. First, we'll talk a little bit about Katana. If you want to partner with us, it's always important to know who you're working with. Second, we'll go over the industries that Katana presently services. Third, we'll cover the business models that Katana is designed for, as well as the workflows that it supports. Fourth, and this is probably the most exciting part, are the features and benefits. We're going to actually discuss the business problems that manufacturers face when looking for an ERP solution, and how our features benefit those companies in solving those issues. Fifth, if you decide that you want to move forward with the trial, or perhaps become a paying subscriber, we have a ton of awesome learning resources. I'm going to show you where they're at. Let's start off with a brief history of Katana and a few key stats. Founded in 2017, Katana is headquartered in Tallinn, Estonia, and is one of many successful IT startups that have been founded here. With more than $51 million raised in VC funding over the last 5 years, the Katana team has grown to over 140 employees across 3 different continents. Presently, thousands of factories and workshops in over 70 countries entrust Katana with their business. With a truly global team, Katana is able to provide 24-hour-a-day service 5 days a week, and with a strong financial backing, it can ensure that it will be a reliable and valued partner for years to come. 50% of Katana's customers are represented by one of 4 major industries. These include food and beverage, cosmetics and health, furniture, and machineries and metal. The other half of Katana's customers are represented by a wide variety of other industries. If you see your industry listed here, there's a good chance that Katana is what you're looking for. If not, have no worries. As we go further into the demo, we'll present some more of the business problems that Katana is designed to solve, and you'll be able to determine for yourself. Katana is capable of supporting a wide array of different business models, but is especially designed for manufacturers. In-house manufacturers, whether you need something as simple as raw material tracking, or a full turnkey solution for your entire floor operations team, Katana supports that and everything in between. Outsource manufacturers, who notoriously struggle with tracking inventory across multiple manufacturing locations, Katana provides multiple location visibility for all of your inventory, and also provides an outsourced purchase order workflow that enables you to generate a PO with all of your contract manufacturers and consume raw materials at different locations in real time when your products arrive to their final destination. Getting deeper into the supported workflows for manufacturing, Katana supports both make-to-order and make-to-stock. Make-to-order is something very unique to Katana, so if you're not carrying finished goods inventory, Katana is able to provide you real-time information whether you have enough raw material in stock to support manufacturing the items that you find in a sales order. With make-to-stock workflows, Katana ensures that you always have a real-time visibility on what your stock situation is at every location and whether or not you need to manufacture more items to fulfill your stock requirements. Now, no matter what size business you operate, Katana has a solution for everyone. Micro manufacturers, we recommend to use the Essentials plan. This typically applies to businesses that are adopting their first-time ERP solution, or even larger businesses that just want to try it before discovering more complex functionality. Now, small and scaling manufacturers who might need more comprehensive features, we recommend to try out our Advanced plan. Medium-sized businesses, which may find themselves operating with a high volume of orders, we recommend to try out our Professional plan. So should you have any questions about this, feel free to check out our subscription plan page, as well as reach out to our sales team. Now let's go ahead and get more into the features and benefits of Katana. Katana brings together live inventory management, real-time planning, shop floor control, and end-to-end traceability all into a single and unified dashboard. When integrating with your already existing technical stack, Katana is a very flexible system. For example, if you're using e-commerce solutions or marketplace apps, Katana easily integrates with some of the biggest e-commerce platforms out there like Shopify, BigCommerce, WooCommerce, or marketplaces like Amazon and eBay. After connecting all of your different sales channels, you can then use Katana's Omnichannel order management features to better manage your order fulfillment process with your customers. Going deeper into the more back-end side of things, Katana has an open API and a variety of third-party integrations that support different types of business applications. We encourage you to check out our integrations page to see if we support a solution that you currently use. But if not, Katana supports a variety of different cloud connectors that enable you to create simple workflows between different applications. But if you need to build out a comprehensive integration between Katana and another platform that is currently unsupported, Katana's open API and webhooks are the most comprehensive in the industry. Check out our devs page with the help of an engineer to see what we're capable of doing and if it'll work for your application. Next up, we're going to do a single slide on each one of these features, briefly cover the problems that they're designed to solve, and then we're going to go directly into the product where I can give you a little bit of a demo about the highlights of how that feature works. Katana's live inventory management features solve these common problems: stockouts of your raw materials and product, multiple locations across the supply chain, especially important if you're an outsourced manufacturer, delayed updates, maybe you use a system that doesn't update its inventory until later after transactions have been made, or you have an error-prone process. Some companies simply eyeball inventory or don't take it very seriously when it comes to staying on top of it. The benefits this provides is gives you total inventory control, including across multiple locations. It automates your inventory transactions by providing real-time tracking as well as increasing accuracy by eliminating any of the discrepancies that you might otherwise face. Here on the stock screen is where Katana unifies its live inventory management. You can track your products, your materials, and if you have inventory at multiple locations, you can toggle between those locations here. Katana automates inventory transactions from the purchase of raw materials to their consumption as you produce finished goods, and finished good depletion whenever you fulfill sales orders. Katana tracks in real time the total quantity of items that you have in stock or on hand, any items that are expected to arrive into inventory. In the case of materials, it would be materials arriving on a purchase order, or in the case of products, it would be products arriving from a manufacturing order. The total amount of items that are committed to orders, meaning that if you have any materials that are committed to manufacturing, or any products that are committed to sales. You can set your reorder points to always make sure that you are never going to run into stockouts, or in the event that your commitments far exceed what you presently have expected to arrive or currently in stock, Katana will also tell you that you have those missing items and provide a short quick add option to allow you to either buy or manufacture those goods. Let's do an overview of how real-time tracking works in a real-world situation. So firstly, let's generate a purchase order for some beige paint. Here we'll select our paint supplier, add beige paint, and let's bring in 10 units. Now, as you can see, the current order is not received, but on the stock page, the beige paint presently has 29.5 liters expected to arrive. And when we look closely at that, you'll see that purchase order number 8, which we just made, has 10 liters expected to come in. Now, currently we have 4 units in stock. So once we mark this purchase order as received, then the expected quantities will drop and the in-stock quantities will arrive. As you can see now, we have 14 liters here, and this has dropped from 29.5 to 19.5. Now this beige paint is used by some of the products in our stock. So let's go ahead and take a look at our manufacturing queue and see that we have a beige dining room table in this manufacturing order. Now this manufacturing order is going to consume 4 liters of this beige paint, which is currently in stock. And you can see that we have, of the total 13.5 liters committed, 4 of those liters are committed for that particular order, out of the 14 that we have available since we just received a PO on it. Now when we complete this manufacturing order, by doing so here, those 4 liters will be removed from inventory and the new balance should indicate that there is 10 liters left. In addition to that, this beige dining room table will be added to stock on our products list. And now you can see beige paint, 10 liters, has been consumed by this manufacturing order, where 4 has been removed. Here on the stock screen, you can see that our beige dining room table is now presently in stock with 1 unit from the manufacturing order we just completed here. Currently, this product is presently committed to a sales order on our sales order list with Rob Decor. So in order to reduce our commitments from 1 to 0, as well as our in-stock quantities from 1 to 0, we need to fulfill the sales order here. So on the sales screen, we'll find the sales order with that item in it, which shows it's currently in stock. We'll do a partial fulfillment on that item. Select it here and deliver. Now that the item has been sent out from our stock screen, our beige dining room table now currently has been depleted from its in-stock quantity, as well as its commitments, which have dropped to 0 from 1. On the topic of multiple locations, for example, you might be tracking all of your products at a fulfillment center, or in other cases, you might be tracking raw materials at an outsource manufacturing location. In Katana, for our case, we've actually added our outsource manufacturing location as a second location into our Katana account so we can track all of the raw material that gets sent to there from our suppliers. Katana supports a workflow called an outsource purchase order that enables you to generate a purchase order for the manufacturing services from a specific supplier and then consume the raw materials at that dedicated location, as well as determine the need for the materials to satisfy your production requirements. So let's go ahead and do one as an example for one of the items that we do manufacturing services for. Here we'll create an outsource purchase order. We'll choose our supplier as furniture crafting, and then choose to track the ingredients from the furniture crafting location. Select the item that we're going to manufacture. In this case, we'll manufacture a coffee table, cognac colored one, and let's say that we're going to make 10 units. Katana is going to be looking at the location where your raw materials are located, which is the furniture crafting location, and identify that those particular materials are not available to manufacture 10 units of this product. So once this outsource purchase order is created, if we need to take a closer look at our stock situation for our outsource manufacturing supplier, we can directly go into the furniture crafting here, check on our materials, identify what's currently missing, and see that we're missing 15 liters of paint. If needed, we'll go ahead and generate a PO. We'll buy it from our paint supplier and create and close that order and have them expected to arrive. When we're looking on our purchase order list for outsourcing at our main location, you'll see that the ingredients are expected to arrive based on the purchase order that we created with our supplier. When your outsourced manufacturing partner has informed you that the raw materials have arrived to their location, you can simply go into the purchasing section at their location, furniture crafting, and mark that PO as received. The outsource purchase order for the products that are expected to arrive at your main location, coming from your furniture contract manufacturer, will say that the ingredients are now in stock. Once they have completed the production process and those goods have arrived at your main warehouse, you can mark this order as received. And in real time, through a stock transaction, the raw materials will be consumed at your furniture crafting location, and the finished goods will have arrived at your main location and are ready to be sent out for your sales. Additional tools to help maintain accuracy of your stock and also manage operations when it comes to multiple locations is Katana's stock take functionality, where you can create a stock take for any number of items at any location. Or if you have errors that pop up, you can create a stock adjustment. Or if you just need to transfer items from one location to another, you can do a stock transfer. On the production side, Katana helps you gain real-time visibility to optimize your production scheduling. A few common problems that manufacturers face include understanding resource impact. How much of available materials do you have, as well as people, to perform the operations that you need to schedule? Estimating accurately cost as well as deadlines to production orders. If you have fluctuations in your supply chain or change in the demands from customers, a lack of flexibility could be something that you're facing when you need to make changes on the fly, or your sales, stock, and floor operations team are all disconnected from manufacturing, which makes it difficult for communication to flow through those different areas in your business. Real-time master planning enables you to make accurate decisions with live data. From the moment you create a manufacturing order, it tells you if the materials are available, on the way, or if you need to purchase more. Mapping inventory levels directly to manufacturing orders enables you to prioritize your production based on available resources. So if you have issues, such as maintaining too much stock to be available just in case, you can use this type of insight to change the way you purchase items to have those materials available just in time. In addition to this module, Katana also calculates all of the costing for you by taking the most recent moving average cost of your available inventory and coupling that with your production operations costs, giving you all the insight you need to optimize your manufacturing operations. Let's go ahead now and take a look at how this looks inside of the Katana platform. The Real-Time Master Planner can be found here on the Make screen. Make screen contains your entire production schedule and lists each individual manufacturing order in its present prioritization. You'll find on the screen your manufacturing order numbers, the product being made, the quantity, the planned production time, production deadline, which is estimated, a delivery deadline in the case of make to order, anytime you have a manufacturing order that's linked back to sales, and your ingredients availability. When we're talking about the basics of resources, Katana has something called a deadline configurator, where you can put in your total available throughput as far as hours are concerned. So that way, within the specific capacity of your weekly throughput, Katana will estimate the production deadline based on the rank of the manufacturing order in the queue. This allows you to give visibility, especially to customers, if you're doing make to order, when certain manufacturing orders can potentially be completed, or at least estimated. When it comes to the ingredients availability, Katana is always asking the question, based on the rank of a manufacturing order in the queue, do you have enough available materials to complete that order? If you do, it has an in-stock status. If there's not enough items in stock, it will look at existing purchase orders to see if they're coming in and tell you when the expected arrival time of those POs will be. If it says that they're simply not available because there's not enough stock to allocate, then this will give you the indication that A, it's time for you to change the priority of your manufacturing order since the resources aren't available, and also purchase the items that you need in order to make it possible to complete. The dynamic functionality of this gives you the possibility to update your priority, whether it's related to customer demands or availability of material. One simple example of this, which we can demonstrate here, is we have 2 beige dining room tables. And we have enough stock to make this one because it's higher in prioritization, so it's getting the available materials first. But since there won't be enough stock after this one is completed, then the one below it has to identify if there's any materials coming in from an available purchase order. And then it gives you the estimated date here. You could have a situation where this one is currently a make to stock since it's not linked to sales. This one's linked to sales as it's a make to order. And maybe this particular customer has a custom element in his table. They could call me and say, is it possible to make it sooner? And we have some indicators here that say, well, not necessarily because we're expecting this particular material to arrive on this day, so we don't have it in stock. That's what would normally happen. But if you're on the phone with them and you need real live inputs, you can say, well, let me check on that. And you can change the prioritization of the manufacturing order. And then what Katana will automatically do is update the availability of stock to that specific order. And you can say, well, look at that. I can actually have it for you by this particular day. Now, when it comes to managing your production schedule in general, you can adjust things as needed in prioritization based on the availability of materials. This works great for make-to-stock workflows. So for the stuff that I do have in stock, I can move it up like so. Anything that's listed as not available, I can move down the list. And update accordingly. As you build out your production schedule, and your team, for example, starts using Katana, Katana's floor functionality, where you can assign tasks, becomes the next step in managing your entire production queue. We'll cover that specific area of the app coming up next. You can take production monitoring up a notch using the optional shop floor control mobile application. This helps solve common problems like paper process if you want to modernize your manufacturing operations, or if you're using disconnected tools that don't plug directly into an inventory management solution, thus preventing real-time feedback. If you're struggling with plan versus actual material and time consumed, this will help make that more efficient. Or if you want to monitor the performance of your operators, workstations, or processes, having that real-time input that's coming from the floor level enables you to do analyses to optimize and otherwise improve your existing manufacturing operations. If you lack flexibility that leads to delays, whether it's with your customers through sales or on the manufacturing floor being delayed, this enables and ensures that your entire shop floor team is aligned with the schedule that would be updated regularly as needed to maintain that flexibility. With total shop floor control, all of your operators are able to log in, see tasks that are assigned to them, complete those tasks, and also record any materials that are consumed, as well as tracking the time that is spent on those processes. You can plan all of your assigned tasks to operators all within Katana's main screens, track those times in real time from the main dashboard of the make screen, see the actual quantities of items used in real time, which would update your stock in real time. And your operators can also leave notes inside of the tasks as they're related to manufacturing orders and update your back office personnel and vice versa anytime you need to communicate directly with your floor team. Now let's go ahead and check out inside of the application how it works when you're assigning tasks to your operators. So here on the make screen, once you've finalized your production schedule and organized it by the items that are presently in stock, we can go ahead and start to assign tasks to our operators down here in the operations section inside of a manufacturing order. You can select the operator directly from this location. Alternatively, if you want to use more comprehensive tools, you can go to our task screen. And here you can use things like filtering, where you can filter by a dedicated resource or a workstation, by manufacturing orders, which you know you are specifically wanting to work on, and then break those tasks down. You can assign it by product. So if you have very specific product related manufacturing processes, you can assign tasks in bulk as they're related to products. You can also filter it by operations. What we're going to do is we're going to do a simple example. So we know that these first two manufacturing orders, SO-2 and MO-3, currently have inventory available. So if you notice here on the right where Mark's screen is for his mobile application, when we assign these two tasks in bulk to Mark, those tasks will then appear in real time on his shop floor application. Now inside of the shop floor application, Mark is able to see quite many things. He can go inside of the task that's assigned to him and see information related to the manufacturing order. This includes ingredients, operations, and any linked notes. On the home screen, Mark will see the tasks assigned to him. To begin, he'll open one up and then choose the Start option. And this will change the updated task into a work in progress. And in real time, also on the manufacturing schedule, it will go from a not started state to also a work in progress. Inside of the manufacturing order, this same information will also flow over. And something that's important to pay attention to is that Mark is currently working on this cutting process, and when Mark is completing it, he just simply presses finish. And this will change the operation to completed and also record the actual time Mark spent on that specific operation. Mark then can move forward on to the next task that is assigned to him and start that process from there. Going back to the task list, you can see that the previous operation is no longer there, and Mark can begin the next one. Once he starts it, it will change to work in progress. He can also pause it. He can resume it, and as needed, finish it. In that case, it will be a completed task. And for manufacturing order number 3, on the schedule, the manufacturing order itself will then have changed to a work in progress. Once all the operations have been completed through the shop floor application, the status of the manufacturing order will change to a done state. As a result, the time that was spent on those operations will then roll over to the cost of product, and also the ingredients that were consumed in the manufacturing process will be removed from inventory with their cost rolled over to the product value, and then the product itself will become available in your inventory. Now, even though we're just touching the tip of the iceberg with respect to the shop floor application, it's really quite loaded with a variety of additional features. These include abilities for your operators to quit their tasks so you can facilitate any changeover with your team. Operators have the ability to input the amount of ingredients consumed as well as the final output of products. You can use this shop floor functionality with multiple location manufacturing. And in addition to that, it has other features such as barcode scanning and the ability to use batches on the shop floor too. When we talk about barcode scanning and batch tracking, this is where we dive into the area of end-to-end traceability with Katana, which is going to be the topic that we'll cover next. Katana's end-to-end traceability feature enables you to track items from the purchase to manufacturing all the way to sales. This feature is typically used for customers that are selling food products, health and beauty, perhaps you're in the chemicals or pharmaceutical industry. It's also helpful for companies that experience problems that have to do with common things that are related to batch tracking, such as maybe you have too much stock of items that are out of date, but you don't have a really effective way of tracking that in real time. If you have decentralized information, such as maybe a spreadsheet in one location that tracks the batch items that are going through your purchasing as well as manufacturing, somebody might be in control of it, but your whole team isn't necessarily on board and able to access it. If you ever have a recall situation, there could be an extremely complex traceability process that goes into that if you don't have an automated platform in order to pull that information in real time or in an easy way for that matter. So Katana's end-to-end traceability enables you to track expiration of items. The automation built into the functionality also supports first in, first out methodology. So if you need to take something off the shelf, it will automatically suggest items that are expiring first, for example. It gives all of your team access to the same information in real time. If you have expired lots, for example, your whole team can see that. If you have batches already allocated to manufacturing, your team can see that. So using it within the application is very effective from that perspective. And then quality assurance. The single most important thing for any of these types of industries is quality assurance. Being compliant, being able to track information when you do have that recall event in an easy manner is more efficient using Katana's end-to-end traceability functionalities. As we go into the product, I'm going to show you where batches are located from the stock screen. I'll also show you how batches get assigned to incoming materials, how they get allocated to manufacturing orders, and how they get created for products that are going into inventory after manufacturing is completed. And lastly, how to allocate them to a sales order. Going back into the application, let's take a first look on the stock screen at where the batches are located. So any items in your stock can be assigned as a batch trackable item. And in this case, once you start creating batches for those items, then they'll appear in your batch list. So the batch list is broken down by products and materials. So in its most core functionality, materials are batches that you're tracking whenever you buy items in from a supplier. And then the products are all of the items that you have assigned batch numbers to during the manufacturing process. Now, it can also be applied that products have batch numbers when they're purchased in from a PO. So that's also entirely a possibility. A little overview of the information you'll see in here is the products, the product SKUs, the batch number, any barcodes associated with batch tracking, which I'll show you how some of that works whenever we talk briefly about the floor application. The total stock of those items for that particular batch, plus their expiration and creation dates. And this will appear to be more obvious whenever we start doing the workflows. The same information can be associated with material. Something also worth noting is that when you click into the materials and looking at the in-stock sections, you can see the history of when that item was made for that particular batch. A couple of items here on the products list will actually have a little bit more detail related to. So for example, there was 3 stock adjustments associated with this batch. Now let me show you how it works when it comes to assignments of batches. So let's go ahead and do this with a purchase order. So what I'm using is roasted coffee as well as green coffee beans, which I use to make that coffee. And if we generate a purchase order for this batch trackable material, we'll go to the purchase order screen. We'll place the order with our farmer supplier, and let's buy some green beans. So I'll keep this simple. Let's say we buy in 10 kilograms. And once that item arrives, you can use a outside barcode scanner to like ring those in using the barcodes, for example, with your internal barcode. Or we also support supplier barcodes. But once you receive it, it will prompt you then to create a batch number for this particular item. So for example, I can assign it to a pre-existing batch, or I can assign a whole separate batch number to it. So let's just say I call this one beans 3. I won't assign a batch barcode for this case, but I'll give it an expiration date. Let's put it out a few weeks. Maybe it's got a 1-month shelf life. You can also export and print the barcodes related to those items, so when they do arrive, you just slap them right onto the products before you put them into your inventory. But we'll go ahead and receive them, and it's that simple. So now you'll see that this new batch will appear on the stock screen under our batches list here in the materials section. Third one listed down here, beans 3. Let's go ahead now and see how all of this ties together on the manufacturing queue. So here in the manufacturing queue, I actually have an open manufacturing order making Brazilian roasted coffee, and we have our materials in stock. So let's go ahead and open up this MO, and I'll show you what's going on. So for this manufacturing order, we have 10 units being produced, and this item, Brazilian roasted coffee, is a batch trackable product. So as a batch trackable product, we need to assign a batch number to it. So we can do this before or at the time of completion of this manufacturing order. So let's go ahead and just give it a unique batch number. Maybe we'll do batch-006, and we'll create a new batch like so. We'll give it an expiration date. Oh, let's say it's good for a couple of months, and hit confirm. So this will be the batch number for this particular manufacturing order. Now the green beans, which is also a batch trackable material, will be consumed in this manufacturing process. And down below, I set up one operation, which we're going to assign to Mark. So just like we did before, we'll go to the operator section and we'll choose Mark, and this will appear on his shop floor application. He can then go inside of the item, and then this is the task that he has to perform. Now, the difference between this one and the last demonstration is we're actually going to use barcodes in this case. So Mark will then start his task, and then while the timer is going, and thus updating the manufacturing order, he then has the option to finish the task. So I've set up some options for the operators on this account that allows them to actually indicate how much ingredients can be consumed and also how many products are output from the process. So when he chooses finish, he has to look up the materials that he consumed. So in our case, in most cases, there'll be a much larger list of ingredients. We only have one just for simplicity's sake. But if he couldn't find, for example, the material from a long list of 50 items, he can choose the scan option, which would allow him to use his phone to pull up the barcode scanner, which would indicate with the checkbox that it's the green coffee beans. Now, did he use 2.5 kilograms? Let's say he did for simplicity. Then he needs to choose from which batches this actually came from. So in our case, we're using batch barcodes to identify unique materials that are being used in this process and thus establishing traceability. So we'll go ahead and scan another one with our camera on our mobile app, and then it will then select the beans 1 batch number. We can then put, okay, he used 2.5 kilograms of this particular batch, and choose done. And when this is completed, he can finish his operation. This might take a second to process, but once it processes, it'll update the manufacturing order. It'll give him an indication that this is what he did. He chooses OK. Now, once all is said and done, his task is now completed, and the manufacturing order is updated to done. Now, for Katana, the batch number has to be assigned before this manufacturing order can be closed out. So if you're assigning batches before manufacturing, that's fine. It'll just automatically complete the process when your operators are done. If you're doing it after the fact, then you'll have to come back into the schedule and then update things as required. Now that this manufacturing order is completed, we can then look at our stock screen into our batches and check out the 250 gram of roasted coffee that we currently have here. And we can see that batch 006, the 10 pieces were now created. So now taking a look at how the established traceability has been created, you can then see that on the manufacturing queue, the completed manufacturing order here will list out every single batch that was consumed from the ingredients list. So you have the established traceability back to beans 1, which is of course linked to a supplier. So if we're having another closer look, for example, on the stock screen, and we want to see where that particular batch went, we can go to our, let's say, materials list here, take a look at the green beans that we have, and then see kind of the historical movements. But I can specify from which particular batch I want to look at. So if I look at the beans 1 batch, I can see that it had come through from PO 13 and was used on this particular manufacturing order. And of course, that manufacturing order is linked to a batch of products that we finished. And then if we're taking, of course, a look at the 250 gram packages of coffee beans that we made, which are located here, and we see that there are some in stock, we can have a better understanding that manufacturing order number 2, which we see as well, and we check out batch number 6, it was created from manufacturing order number 2. So that traceability is going back all the way to the supplier, the PO, when the PO was received, who the PO is from, the batch assigned to the stock that went into this manufacturing order, and then of course the output of finished products with its own batch here in stock. So the full traceability is completely adaptable whenever you need to look up very clearly where batches are from. So going a little bit further into this, that's how you assign the batches to POs, allocate them to ingredients in a manufacturing order, and assign batches to manufacturing orders themselves. But what about when we talk about selling? So for selling, when you're fulfilling your sales orders, I've got a sales order down here for coffee shop, for example. Now, when you do this fulfillment process, and it also works in the same way for manufacturing orders. For example, allocating from what batches material is coming from. It could be a case that you're going to be taking from multiple batches. So, for example, making the product coffee itself, you might run out of stock from the beans one batch, but you take from the beans two batch, and you can allocate those all together in a single completion. So in our case, we've got a couple of items. Before we do the fulfillment process and we ship all of them out, we'll have the process look like this when we're doing the batch allocation. So as you can see, it says, hey, wait a second, before you fulfill this, you need to choose what batches are going to be sent out from. So for example, I've got all of these batches that I can fulfill from, and what it's showing me first for the fulfillment process is the batches that are expiring first. So currently today is actually the 14th of November. So it's showing me that, okay, batch 001 expires on the 19th, 21st, 28th, etc. So it does a first in, first out methodology to automate what should be fulfilled primarily. So I choose for batch 1, I take all of the available stock, but I still have 151 pieces left, so I'll take the available from batch 2. I still have 91 pieces left, so I'll take from batch 3 as well for this fulfillment. And then for the 500 gram packages, I've got these two particular batches. I'll use up everything available from that batch 1, and then I'll fulfill from batch 2. So this gives you that ability to select from multiple batches on a single fulfillment, and then just hit confirm. All of that information will be traced over into the sales order. So of course, if that particular customer from this coffee shop says, hey, we have some bad coffee, and you say, okay, well, from what batch are they? They say, oh, it's batch 002. Then you say, okay, well, we sent out 60 pieces on this particular day, and you can trace route that batch 002 to the manufacturing order as well as the supplier that it had allocated in case you need to meet compliance requirements for a recall. So end-to-end traceability, that in a nutshell is how it all completely works, from purchase order to the manufacturing to the sales order, and also how it integrates and works in between, especially when you're working with your manufacturing team. So as we get further into the details related to the other features in Katana, next up we're going to talk about how Katana connects with all of the different applications from the sales perspective. Katana gives you the ability to sync all of your sales channels for optimal order fulfillment. This unifies all of your B2B, e-commerce, marketplaces, even your manual sales orders all into one central dashboard. This helps solve some of the common problems for companies that do have multiple sales channels but don't really have a central organization where they can manage all of those. And since Katana supports the inventory side for both materials, which helps make to order companies, as well as products, which helps make to stock companies, you can unify and sync those sales channel orders coming in along with their statuses and update inventory in real time if all of your inventory is currently unsynced across those existing connections. This also helps manage with your fulfillment process. So if you need to do a pick and a pack and also work closely with the shipping application, which we support a few of them, you can modify that whole entire order fulfillment workflow from the sales dashboard in one place. Some of the core areas that Omnichannel order management enables you to do with respect to your stock situation is you can track the availability of required products for sales orders, whether they appear automatically from your multiple e-commerce platforms or entered manually from wholesale customers. This drag and drop functionality, where the prioritization according to material or product or delivery deadlines will identify any delays or risks that will enable you to reprioritize as needed, thus helping you boost efficiency in your fulfillment process. Since Katana is tying together your purchases, your production, and your sales workflow, then out of sync dates between sales orders, manufacturing orders, and purchase orders will trigger all of these color changes within the application to alert you in any type of situation where there would be a deviation of being able to fulfill that sales order. So let's do a quick overview in the application. I'll show you just a little bit of where the integrations that we support also help facilitate any type of multi-channel sales use case. Katana Omnichannel, the way it works is you need to connect the different types of sales applications that you're using. So more specifically, I'm talking about e-commerce, marketplaces, EDI applications, for example, CRMs, and also with shipping and fulfillment applications. The way that these applications are connected is from your settings screen in the integration section. You'll see there's basically two types of apps. There are the apps that are native or built by Katana, and then you have apps that are third-party or built by the developer or someone else. Now, the native integrations that are e-commerce specific supported by Katana are BigCommerce, Shopify, and WooCommerce. These do is it allows you to connect directly to those particular e-commerce storefronts, and we can pull in your products, your customers, your initial stock, as well as your sales orders. And then those features you can modify how you need, allow you to sync your stock levels and also sync the statuses of your sales orders. So they're super comprehensive and they work effortlessly whenever you go through the connection settings and actually start using them day to day. With respect to third-party applications that are currently supported in Katana, you can see a variety of them listed here below. These include major marketplaces, they include no-code third-party applications that are e-commerce focused. They also include CRMs, for example, along with any shipping and fulfillment applications that make it possible for you to tie tracking numbers to your sales orders. So you can check those out. There's read more sections. There's getting started and setup guides to help you navigate that. And these are no-code solutions, so it isn't too comprehensive or complicated to get set up and started to move with them. What's really cool also is with the user interface on the sell screen. When all of these apps are integrated, there will be available like little logos that are indicating where they're from. Some of the third-party applications actually create a whole separate column here for you. So like fulfillment applications will be able to allow you to press a button and open it up inside of that third-party app. Inside of the sales orders, for our native integrations, you can see updates happening to orders and those get synced over. So there's really a lot that you can do with that. And at the end of the day, the main goal is to provide you the opportunity to make changes to the priority of your sales orders as it reflects and as it relates to availability of products, availability of materials, any delivery deadlines or changes that are important for your business. They can also be routed in a way that allows you to manage sales orders from multiple locations. So if you're doing multiple sales order fulfillment locations, then this is also very effective from that perspective too. One of the advantages to plugging all of your sales channels into your Katana account is the amount of data that can be analyzed for helping you make better business decisions. This data gets summarized here on the Insights section, where you'll be able to see insights about your sales, about your products, about your orders, as well as your customers. In a nutshell, Sales Insights is more or less a macro level of how are all of your sales doing. What is your revenue, your profit, your cost of goods sold, profit margins, all across your entire organization's sales channels. If you want to get a little bit more micro with respect to dedicated products, you can see additional information in here where you can create filters specific to products that you want to look at. But if you want more macro data, you can go further down, identify your top selling products, as well as your lowest profitability products. This type of data will help you make better decisions about any products that need more attention, for example, that you're struggling with, or maybe there's ones that you want to concentrate on when you want to boost your sales. Under Order Insights, one of the most helpful pieces of information you can gather from here is how are you performing by sales channel. So whether you have 2 or 3 sales channels or dozens, you can see the overall performance of how each sales channel impacts your overall sales organization. If you want at a glimpse to see, for example, what sales channels are underperforming and need attention, or which ones are really well, you can see that type of information here over any period of time. We also have customer insights. On a macro level, you can see where is new business being generated. Any customers that have more than one order would be typically considered repeat business, and you can get a nice little breakdown over what customers are coming in that are new and which ones are reordering from your company. You can break that information down by regional sales locations. You can even look at your top 15 customers in terms of revenue and profitability. Katana also lists those out in table formats in case you need to look at them and play around with the information or data. So last but not least, we'll talk more about the integration of your whole entire technical business stack in your Katana account and how that looks next. All right, so the next part of the overview is a little bit more about integrations, workflows, and how you can use Katana's openness to integrate all of your tools as a unified tech stack with Katana. So, for example, larger companies or companies that are scaling, sometimes the tools that you're working with, they just simply don't have the capacity to connect with everything in a way that works best for your business. And since most modern companies are using cloud based toolings, and maybe your ERP solution is the last thing you're planning to update, Katana is designed specifically for modern manufacturers in mind who are planning to do that. Also, future proofing your business is important. So, cloud ERP solution, if this is the first tool you're adopting and you want to adopt other tools, is what will enable the scalability as you grow. Also, I want to point out that using Katana ERP as a platform it's a product. So as a product, its number one goal is to always make itself open and available. So anything that you don't see an integration for can always be done through our API solution. So let's get into it. I'll show you a bit more kind of how that is meant to be built out, and then we'll do a little overview of where that information is available inside of the Katana app. So firstly, we briefly talked about e-commerce just right before this. So you can connect all of your e-commerce solutions into Katana like this. We also have native integrations with accounting software. We support QuickBooks Online and Xero. So for example, if you need to make invoices on sales orders or generate bills on purchase orders, you can do that right inside of Katana and then sync that data over to QuickBooks and Xero. In addition to that, we do have the ability for those manufacturers that are using a managerial accounting business model and want to capture cost of goods sold on the income statement. We also enable this ability to put that information over to your accounting solution if it's natively integrated with Katana. Also, if you're using other applications outside of Katana that you need to integrate in some form or fashion, as I briefly already mentioned, you can use things like Cloud Connector tools, and these third-party integrator tools will enable you to bridge the gap where native integrations aren't supported. And lastly, and also most importantly, is something we have called Open API. So API, every single element inside of the Katana application, and this is something that's not common in all ERP solutions that are cloud-based, is the availability of every single element being readable, writable, extractable, and usable within your Katana account with other systems. If you're not able to find a successful solution with a native integration or using a no-code solution with a cloud connector or integrator tool, if you have a technical partner, somebody on your engineering team, or you're working with a consultant who's doing that, then they can build out an API integration that will create custom workflows between Katana, moving data into it or moving data out of it for any system that you use. This is common for companies that might be working with large retailers, for example, and want to integrate EDI orders from those to bring their data into their Katana account or extract it out from their Katana account. You can also use it for syncing, but more importantly, you can build whatever you need to through Katana as your central hub. So information about the API is found in the settings section, and here you can generate dedicated API keys to build out those connections with different apps. Katana also supports webhooks as well, and you can use webhooks in a slightly different way to solve some dedicated workflows if the applications that you're also using support that. All right, now that we've covered all of the features and benefits, as stated at the beginning of this demo and overview, I hope you have enough information to understand what Katana is capable of and if it's going to solve some of the problems that you're looking to overcome. So I want to introduce you to a few of the resources that you can begin your learning process with Katana should you decide that you want to move forward with the product. Firstly, all of the links will be available in the description section below, but I'll touch base on each one of them. So we have a tutorial video series. It consists of hours and hours of content going from the beginning to the end, starting from ground zero, and by the time you finish it, you'll basically be a hero when it comes to Katana. You'll be a full product expert if you take a chance to go through those and learn the product in and out. You can also do this with your team. Feel free to take advantage of that during your trial period. If you can't find any information in the application, either through our knowledge base or any of the help articles that are linked to parts within the app, you can always write us a message to our support chat, which is available in the bubble in the bottom right. Also on our page, we have blogs, case studies, ebooks you can download and have a look at to read more about manufacturing related topics or maybe areas of particular interest within your industry. If you need help employing Katana across your organization, we have an amazing partners network. So you can check out our partners page. There you can access business consultants. We have other types of partners who are implementation partners that can get you set up and running. And also web development. So for example, if you need to do custom workflows built between Katana's web platform and another web platform, then we have dedicated technical partners that can help and facilitate those types of needs for different types of customers. Or if you yourself run your own software company, we have a dedicated developer portal in case you're looking to integrate with Katana. Also, developers can look into that and look at the API docs too to see information related to how they can better build custom integrations with the Katana platform. And I also want to mention that a lot of the features that we covered in this overview are available primarily on the advanced and above subscription plans. But for advanced and professional plans up to enterprise, we offer dedicated onboarding and also a dedicated customer success manager. So one of the value adds with not just the additional features is the additional help that you get from our team from the service perspective. And last but not least, as a final note from our team, the one thing that we do at Katana and one of our biggest missions is to build a software that manufacturers love as much as the products that they make. So I want to thank you for watching our video, and I hope that you found it helpful. Thanks again, and happy manufacturing.